I'm getting all my tattoos removed because quite literally I hate them. For some reason, whenever I talk about this, it triggers people, which I have no idea why. I think it's because people get defensive and they think that I'm like shitting on all tattoos and that I hate tattoos, which is most definitely not the case. I got my first tattoo at age 17, snuck off to Indiana to get it illegally, and now I'm 27, so it's been a decade, and I just don't resonate with my tattoos anymore. I mean, I quite literally got them before my frontal lobe was even developed. Yeah, obviously my priorities are a little bit different. My style's way different. I'm always finding myself trying to cover them up or like angling myself differently in photos so that they're not showing. Like, shit's exhausting and I hate them. And they honestly all kind of look like shit now. The one on my side when I was 17, I've grown a lot since then. So it doesn't look the same. You can't even read it anymore. I still really love and appreciate tattoos on other people. I just personally, for myself, do not like seeing them and don't want them on my body. Like the thought of seeing these tattoos on my wedding day, forget it. Forget it. Today is my second appointment out of probably like 10, and it's costing me over $4,000 to remove 3. When I literally didn't even pay like $400 in total for all of them. So that's fun. And don't even get me started on the pain because it hurts like a bitch. But needless to say, I'm so freaking excited. And I'm going to take you guys along with on like the whole journey because I know a lot of you guys were like intrigued on the whole process. So here's to doing whatever we want with our bodies and doing whatever makes us feel the most comfortable. Minding our business. And I don't know what else. So not looking forward to this, but it's what needs to be done. So wish me luck.
Story time about how I was stalked by what I honestly believe was a serial killer. In 2020, this guy moved into my apartment complex down the hall from me. My first encounter with this guy was in the hallways on his move-in day. He looked at me and the first thing he ever said to me was, "Are you scared of me?" I thought that seemed a little strange, but then I realized that he was moving in to my guy best friend's apartment. So I texted my guy best friend and I was like, "Yo, your new roommate seems a little bit weird. Be careful." The following days, I keep finding this man everywhere I'm going. He was in the elevator with me. We got out of the elevator at the same time. I doubled back to make sure no one was following me. And he, at the exact same time, peeked out from behind the wall he was hiding behind. We made eye contact. And he laughed this evil demonic laugh, and he found out which apartment was mine. I was like, oh my gosh, like what should I do? I did call the police, but the police wouldn't take me seriously. I go over to my guy best friend's apartment, and obviously the stalker and him are sharing the same apartment unit. While I'm hanging out with him and a bunch of other guy friends, the stalker dude starts pacing back and forth through the apartment with an axe on his shoulder and a helmet. Just pacing, not saying a word to anyone, just pacing back and forth with an axe. He then proceeds to block the door like this. This guy's 19 years old and he's ripped on steroids. This guy couldn't even walk normal because of his muscle mass. And he's standing, blocking the door so that no one could come in and no one could come out of the apartment unit. The guy eventually leaves the apartment, but he comes back. And when he comes back, he's extremely pissed off, goes into his room and is throwing things around. He comes out, and the dog who was living in the apartment starts growling. This dog loved people, but it could sense a very demonic energy. Look up at the stalker dude to see why the dog is growling. This guy had the most demonic glow to his eyes I have ever seen. I cannot describe it. All I knew is that I saw evil and darkness, and in that moment, I was terrified. All of my guy friends were actually playing video games, so they weren't really paying attention to what was going on. Once I got their attention, I told them that it's not safe here, we have to go. And they didn't know what I was talking about, but I told them I was leaving, and I got up and I left. Some of my guy friends followed me, though. When I got out of that apartment, I bawled my eyes out, and they were like, "Cece, what happened? Like, why are you upset? Like, we were just hanging. Like, I don't understand." So I told them exactly what I saw. So my guy friends that stayed back tried to talk to him and see why he was angry, and this is what the stalker boy said. He told them that he had a god complex and he had come to the earth to purify the unclean. I ran out of time, but part 2 is already posted.
Can we just talk about the dedication that it takes to be able to date someone when you have strict parents? I'm going to share some things that I absolutely hate about dating when I used to live with my parents. This is what I'm priming my face with, by the way. Okay, how annoying is it that you literally have to whisper on the phone, especially when they're being all like flirty with you or whatever, and you're trying to be like sexy back, but you have to like whisper, you're like, "Babe, you're so hot, the things I would do to you." And then your mom immediately walks in the room and you have to end the call. Watermelon drops. You know what's even worse? When you literally can't go out any time of the day, let alone late at night. Like, that's not even an option. And it sucks because like when I was with my parents, if I went out like once during the week for something that wasn't like school related, I was not allowed to go out like another day. So you'd literally be going out with your man like once a week, or you'd have to lie and be like, "I'm volunteering," or "I have a school project," or whatever. And then when your boyfriend also has strict parents, you guys literally only hang out in his car, Y'all, I am so sick of car dates, if you know what I mean. Like, I could never. I'm traumatized. And you also could never catch me holding this man's hand in public or like even being near him in public. Because my cousins, friends, dogs, neighbors, sister could be in the mall and snitch on me. I genuinely think the reason why I was so boy obsessed when I was younger was because I got such a rush out of like hiding it from my parents. Oh my god, don't even get me started about breakups. You know, when you're so devastated and you're so sad, but you can only cry in your room because you can't let your parents find out that you're sad. So I'd literally stuff my face in my pillow and like cry and then come out and like do the dishes or like talk to my mom. This is becoming like a Kosas ad. Anyways, there'd also be times where I would get gifts, not a lot of the time, but once in a blue moon, and I would just be like, yeah, my friend got it for me, and my mom just thinking like, oh wow, she has such nice friends that just buy her flowers. It's funny because I was so boy obsessed when I was with my parents, and then when they kicked me out, I was just kind of like chilling. And I feel like I've noticed a pattern that like kids with strict parents are like hypersexual. Like, don't you find that odd? Like, I've noticed every single person with strict parents, like, they fucking get around. And I'm wondering if it's probably because, like, our parents try so hard to repress us that we just, like, want it even more. Because now I can go out whenever the fuck I want. But do I? No. I sit in my room and I talk to my freaking phone and make makeup videos. Oh my god, one last thing. My first boyfriend, he also had strict parents, but one time he snuck me into his house. Well, not really snuck, no one was home. But we were like literally planning escape routes in case his mom came home. We're like, hey, you're gonna go through this door, you're gonna go through this exit, this window. Funniest thing ever. Guys, I really think I need to make this strict parents thing, whatever, like a series. Because y'all be eating that shit up. Alright, gotta go to work. See you guys.
With me while I tell you about one of the funniest cases I've ever had as a lawyer. And I say funny, obviously when there's an injury involved, it's never funny, but you'll see what I mean. So we get a call about a car wreck to our office and it's routed to me. It sounded like a pretty straightforward car accident case, so I set up an appointment for them to come in the office. Client comes in, the paralegal puts them in my office, I get my intake packets together and go to walk into that conference room just like I have a million times before. What I didn't realize is this case was far from your average car wreck. First of all, I walk into the conference room to meet with this client and this guy's about my age and really good looking. Lawyers have really strict rules about dating clients, so no, that is not where this story is going. And I also noticed that he was sitting on his chair really weird, like kind of on the edge and to the side. And he looked really uncomfortable. And in my head, I'm like, okay, he has a back injury. He probably like hurts to sit a certain way. Nope. I sit down at the table and start the intake process. Super nice guy, and he had been rear-ended in a car accident. And that's when things got kind of crazy. Funny now, but not funny then. I say, okay, can you tell me about your injuries? And he said, well, you know, I have whiplash, I have some lower back pain. Very normal for a car wreck. And then he tells me that he couldn't get his car door open after the wreck, which is absolutely terrifying. But the crazy thing is that he had his heated seat on when the wreck happened, and he couldn't get it to turn off, and it just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter, so much so that it melted his seats and burned him. Now that part of the story is not the funny part, but we're gonna get there. A lot of people don't know this, but you can have a claim against the person who hit you in the car wreck, and also against the car manufacturer for any malfunctioning equipment or systems, like the heated seat. So I tell him I'll represent him, and fast forward to about a year later. I've settled his car accident case with the driver who hit him. Now the case against the car manufacturer is going forward, and we're doing depositions. My client is being deposed by lawyers for the car company. A big component of injury cases is how that injury has affected your daily life. Defense attorneys start asking questions to that effect. Remember how I said this guy was really good looking? He pulls out pictures of his butt that had previously been produced. It was a very hairy butt. Sorry, y'all, gotta go to part 2.
I used to do a lot of unhinged shit when I was in high school. I literally made a new account to basically expose myself because everyone I knew from high school was on my old account. So anyways, basically if I didn't like you and I was in front of you in the hallways or I was sitting in front of you in class, I would basically like fart and then like walk away. Cause like no one would expect it to be like a bad bitch. So like I never really cared. And like it was more of like a, oh yeah, bitch, smell my fart, bitch. Yeah, ho. Like that was my whole mindset about it, which was kind of weird, not gonna lie. So I was having a friend that had boy troubles, and basically I gave this girl the idea to create a new account and see if he tries to get with the fake girl. Basically I got her from Pinterest, and like I started following all my friends like from high schools, like people that he would know. Mind you, this boy had like tons of girl best friends. If you know what I mean by that, you know what I mean. So yeah, the account had to be on my phone because like obviously like they're together, he goes to her phone, blah blah blah. So she basically told me to go forward with it and start following him while they were on FaceTime. So mind you, they were on FaceTime and I followed him, and then after that I texted him. Mind you, there was no post of her in his Instagram, like 0. Okay, so like I said, they were on FaceTime, right? And literally the moment I followed him and the moment I texted him, like she said that he went like completely silent. Like they were talking and then like he went completely silent. And then basically she was like, oh, what happened? What happened? Like what's wrong? And then he was like, nothing, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was just a back and forth like, oh, hey, where are you from? What are you doing? And then he texted me, how did you find me? And I said, oh, your homegirl told me to follow you. And then basically he's the type to like fucking be like, oh, give me a hug. Like, you know what I mean? Like those fucking weird ass dudes. So obviously he didn't think nothing of it. And then basically he was like, oh, like, let me call you. Let's go on FaceTime. Like, give me your number. So I had to like give him an excuse why we couldn't FaceTime, because I had to use a Google number. And then he started texting me on that number. Mind you, I already told this girl all of that, and she's very, very surprised and very upset. Like, and she was like, basically, let's see how far this dumbass is gonna go. Like, let's see how far this dumbass is gonna go. That's how she was, basically. So 2 or 3 days passed by of basically the fake girl texting him, and she doesn't say anything. Like, the strength on this woman. Go to part 2.
If you delete text messages between you and another girl, that's a body. If your Instagram looks like the fucking Lululemon checkout line except photoshopped to living shit, 1 body per account. If you accept a compliment from another girl and say anything other than, get the fuck away from me, you stank ass smelling hoe, then throwing a 45-pound plate at her, that's a body. If you go to a strip club while in a relationship, that's how many bodies are there that night. If you watch adult movies while in a relationship, that's 10 bodies. If you don't let your girlfriend post bikini pics, but you follow a bunch of girls that do post them, that's a body. And you're a fucking hypocrite. If you go to another girl for advice on your relationship, that's a body, and a damn ugly one. If you pay for adult content from another girl when you're in a relationship, that's a whole damn graveyard, and you're a fucking loser. If you follow a girl that your girlfriend hates, that's a damn body. If you call your car pretty more than you do your girlfriend, that's a body. And you're probably not straight, so it's a dude's body. If you say that you're a very sexual person when you're really just an addict, that's a fucking morgue. If you've ever used another girl to make your girlfriend jealous, that's a body. And I'm sorry that you hate yourself, little man. If you've ever told your girlfriend that another girl's hot, that is a fucking body. And I'm sorry that you have self-esteem issues and think that's the only way to tell if she likes you. Just keep practicing those self-affirmations, little boy. Things a confident man would never do. If I can't tell if that's your damn snap score or your phone number, that's a fucking body. Love you, hobknockers. Stay sexy.
Boyfriend and I met when we were 14 years old on vacation. I was going into high school and he was already in high school. He was a sophomore. So originally I saw him at the pool and I thought he was really cute, but I would never say anything to him. So at the resort, there was this cliff that people could go on and jump into like a 14-foot pool. And I was on the top of the cliff and my brother was basically harassing me. So I turned around and I like screamed at my brother. My boyfriend was behind my brother and he literally looked at me and said, "That's kind of rude, don't you think?" So in my head, I was like, what the hell, like, did this guy just say to me? So I just jumped off the cliff and that's it. Now, over the next few days, my boyfriend started to hang out with my brother, and he also had a little brother, and they would all hang out. I would just chill with my mom, mind my business, but like low-key, I was looking at him. One night, my brother asked me to go into the game room and hang out with my boyfriend and his brother, and I decided to go, and I just sat on the couch, and that's when my boyfriend came up to me. Mind you, I was already annoyed because of our first interaction. So he comes up to me and is like, "Hi, my name is Rourke," and instantly I was like, what kind of name is that? So as he was introducing himself to me, I was texting, so I would just look up at him and I'd be like, "Hi." He'd be like, "What's your name?" And I'd be like, "Christine." And then he'd say, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "New Jersey." So basically I kept giving him one-word responses and was barely acknowledging his existence, and he finally just walked away. Go to part 2 for the rest of the story.
Holy crap. Like, Are we feeling okay? So I have to get a brain scan today. Ow. Because the birth control I was on gave me a brain tumor. Yeah. Thankfully, it's benign. But I do have to take my septum piercing out. And I've never taken it out in my life. I've had it pierced for 2 years. And I've tried to take it out, but it just won't come out. So my cousin told me to try pliers. And I have been going on this ball for a good 20 minutes. She's just not budging. My boyfriend's mom told me that both balls can be removed, but maybe that's not true for this one. So let's try the other one and hopefully we can get out because I literally have to leave in 5 minutes. Sexy. It's so hot when shit like this happens. It really does turn me on. Okay. Oh my god. Please. There's so much snot on it. The way it's literally not coming out. I'm so scared to see what I'm gonna look like without it too. Righty tighty lefty loosey. Is it coming undone? I can't tell. Wait, I think I got it. Shit. No, stop. I'm scared. I don't want to see what I look like. What if I look ugly? Ew, this is gonna feel so weird. I'm literally gonna throw up. Okay, wait. I'm being dramatic. It doesn't look that different. I look like younger. I'm a good little girl. Can you buy me some candy, daddy? By the way, the tumor is non-cancerous, so that's relieving, but it's still in my pituitary gland and causing lots and lots and lots of problems. I read that if it's past a certain size, then I will have to get surgery to get it removed or I'll never be able to have kids. Yay. And I always say I don't want kids, I'm never having kids, because my worst nightmare is changing a freaking diaper. Not to mention, babies are just selfish, all the stuff you do for them, and then what do they do for you in return? Cry and shit themselves. I could do that for free, but I want to have the choice, you know what I mean? It's just about the principle, and plus it's causing me to gain weight and other symptoms that I am not going to go into detail. Anyway, hopefully this goes well. I am shitting my pants a little bit, but at least the septum's out. I gotta take out all my other jewelry, actually. Wish me luck. Love you. Have knockers. Bye.
I saw a video of a girl asking if you've ever had a friend that just hated you, and I thought this was my time to shine. So I went through a lot of different friend groups and best friends and stuff throughout my whole life, but I had one friend that I had for 7 years and one friend that I had for 4. And the friend I had for 7 years I started becoming friends with this other girl in high school, and I just introduced the two of them together, so then all 3 of us became a trio. And one weird thing about my school was that we didn't have, people weren't just, friends with just one other person. There weren't a whole lot of that. It was a lot of big groups. So even though we weren't popular, everybody, knew of us because we were that weird group that, the weird trio. I'm telling you, even teachers knew not to separate us because we were going to, back together. So fast forward to senior prom, we're going to call them Rachel and Ashley. Rachel and Ashley went to Ashley's house and decided that they were going to get ready together, and I got ready at my house. Now, this made sense because Ashley lived pretty far out, and I had a hair appointment in the middle of the day, so it didn't really make sense to drive all the way out there, drive back into town, drive back out there. I just got ready at my house. And if you've seen my prom pictures, you know I did Lady Gaga's Met Gala look for prom. Skipping blush and highlight because I'm doing that in a different video. So I finished my makeup, and I text a picture of it to Rachel. And she's like, oh, you need to take that off. You cannot wear that. That is embarrassing. We do not want to be seen with that. And I'm just no, I spent 2 hours on it. I did not have time to take it off. I was no. And she was like, okay, well, then we're not going to come get you. Now, my parents had my car because one of their cars was in the shop. And I was like, you have to come get me or I can't get there. So begrudgingly, they come to my house and they pick me up. And then we meet all of our parents to go do pictures. Now, when we get there, they take one picture with me. Also, no, the whole drive over, they did not talk to me or acknowledge me. So they take one picture with me, then I get sprayed by a sprinkler and I get soaked. So now I'm crying. They do not care. They have better things to do. And then at this point, the parents are finding this weird because I'm being completely overlooked, and that's never happened before. At least that they've seen. So all the parents are like, are you okay? What's going on? I'm like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. So we finish pictures and say farewell to our parents. So then we go to dinner. It's the most awkward thing ever. No one talks to me. So I'm just like, okay, when I get to prom, I'll find other people. At prom, some other girls hang out with us, so it's fine. It doesn't feel too awkward. Then when we get in the car to leave, Ashley looks at Rachel and is like, hey, do you want to spend the night at my house? And Rachel's like, yeah, I'd love to.
So Ashley goes, great, we'll drop Allie off and then we will go to my house. And that's exactly what happened. Gorgeous, gorgeous girls always over blush. Gorgeous, gorgeous girls are always in a rush. Every makeup artist's worst nightmare is if they are unwell on a wedding day. Actually, it's probably every supplier's worst nightmare. Well, let me tell you about the time I was, in fact, unwell on a wedding day. So let's set the scene. It was last December. Yes, it was recently. This wedding had quite an early start and I can't fully remember what time I had to be there, but I just remember it was early. But the place I had to travel to was only a 15-minute drive, which was lovely. And you may be thinking, I already know where this story's going. Well, let me tell you, you don't, because nothing about this wedding morning could have been predicted. Also, guys, my eye eczema is playing up a little bit, so if I look extra wrinkly under or around the eye area, that is why. I actually started off that day feeling absolutely fine, perfectly fine, didn't feel unwell at all, felt absolutely normal. In fact, I was actually really looking forward to this wedding because the bride was super lovely and I was working alongside a hairstylist who I really like. I arrive at the hotel early and I start to take my kit inside to go get set up. I'd already texted the bride to let her know I was there and she said she would be there in approximately 10 minutes. So let me remind you, it's December, so it's cold outside. However, I walk into the getting ready room to what felt like a hot summer's day in the Caribbean. It was boiling in there. Obviously somebody had whacked the heating on and left it there. Of course, I go and turn that right down. I was first in the room and before I set up, I always like to scout about to see the best places for hair and makeup. I feel like I'm very thoughtful in the fact I always make sure hairstylists have a space suited to them, so like a dressing table with plug sockets and a mirror. Whereas makeup can really go anywhere, so I set up my kit on the bed on a towel, don't worry, and waited for my bride to arrive. Let's also talk about my outfit because that was a key component to this story as well. I was wearing a thick black hoodie, ugly creased t-shirt that I just did not want to see the light of day. And the only reason I wore it was because it was cold outside and I wanted an extra layer under my hoodie. Anyway, my bride and her bridesmaid arrive. All is good, I'm feeling good, and I'm ready to start makeup on time. It's not until the rest of the bridal party arrive, and there's about 8 people in this room, when I start to feel a little bit too hot. I then start to feel very sick. And I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes I can feel sick and know I'm gonna be all right. Other times I can feel sick and I just know it's gonna happen. And this was most definitely one of those times where I just knew it was coming. But by this point, I was already halfway through makeup on bridesmaid number 1. I'm gonna be annoying, come back for part 2.